with Allan's agreement, Prince from the Underground. So I think it's a good day for that, being Halloween. And the reference was to Dostoevsky's Notes from the Underground, but he was not an artist as far as we know, right? Right. So, but I think the term has lots of different meanings, as well as political, social, metaphysical, as well as supernatural, and chthonic, the things that happen literally from the underground. So I heard a very interesting, just a quick story. I heard the phrase that we've all heard, "Saved by the Bell." I just heard this week that it comes from a medieval custom of burying people with a little spring in the coffin that is attached to a bell.
I know where this is
above
going.
the ground.
And if they wake up,
if someone was not actually dead, they would wake up and be able to pull that string and alert the cemetery guy.
that'll be good to know.
But I like what you have to say about when we impress ink onto paper, we are taking part in an ancient form of communication. And I still get excited at the reveal of a print when we peel paper off the plate and see our creation for the first time. So I suspect Allan says that he was worked in various industries and printing companies and software development as to put bread on the table. But I think it was also an expression of your power. So that's going to Allan, thank you for coming.
I can't stand talking about my artwork, so I'm not going to say much about it, really. But I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has, and I'm happy to give away some secrets. I'll probably point out a couple of fun things. First, I want to thank Jonas for doing the show, calling me up, and curating it. This is his choice. So if you're like, what the hell? There's your
blame me. Mea culpa.
And I want to thank the library. Marion is the head librarian here, and I love this space to show. And then I want to thank everybody for coming. Some people have driven an hour to get here. Thanks for coming all that way. Really appreciate it. Know that at 6 o'clock, just down the hill, is my bar. I have a buffet if people are hungry. And we'll stay open just for us from 6 to 8 or so. So if people want to continue this down there, that's going to happen there. And they are all quite welcome for that. And let me point out just a couple of things. One fun thing, first of all, these two guys, this is their public debut. They're a few years old, a couple of years old, but the reason it's their public debut is now when you enter art and shows, every show you have to do it digitally. So if you happen to have made something that doesn't take a good digital picture, and these two do not take good pictures at all, they just don't get selected for the show. So since Jonas selected them, they get to be in the show. This guy here, which is a monoprint, meaning there's only one of them, he's the secret background to this one. So I scanned that picture and put it in black and white here. And then on top of it, I had this geometric picture that was algorithmically generated. I wrote a little bit of software to make circles. And then I just played with bringing one to the foreground or the background. And this one is also the only copper plate photogravure in the show, and that's a wonderful, insane process that's as old as photography and one of the first ways that the photographs were printed, and it's still the most beautiful way to print a photograph. Just the darkest pictures. That might be all I'm going to talk about, John.
Oh, come on, we can ask the
I always
Tell
told
us.
Frank Zappa about talking about your art, and his quote was, "Writing about music is like dancing about architecture." I just totally agree with that.
Well, some architecture you can dance into,
That's true.
dance under, you know. Some you can't.
Now, can you describe how you did the first one? I love the texture of that.
That's
It
it.
looks like gauze.
That's maybe the only digital print here. Well, there's two digital prints here, so they're not hand done, they're digital. And that one is coded in a framework called processing. And so with processing, you write a few lines of code that say, do this to every pixel. And then the framework then goes through whatever picture you give it and does what you wrote. In this case, I wrote the cross-hatching algorithm to make all the little cross-hatch marks. In the case of the colorful one in the corner there, that's called Sugar Shack, that's also from the same software. And in that case, I told it, look at your neighboring pixel and then maybe make yourself that color or maybe don't. And then when that ran, I could watch the picture and see it change in front of my eyes. And as soon as I liked it, then I could hit stop and save it out. And then I made a silk screen from that. So that's still not a digital print, it's a hand print. Most of these are hand prints. I have a home studio, and I really like that. I like getting up in my jammies and starting to work on my project, you know, not having to drive anywhere and have some coffee and stuff like that.
The Korean engraving,
Yeah.
was that a laser?
No, it's a hand engraved.
Oh, tell me, okay. So, hand engraved on Korean?
Yeah. And so you know what Korean is, I can tell. And that's what it is. So it turned out that DuPont tabletop plastic loves the engraving tools. And so it's a great cheap matrix to engrave upon. And that's actually a very early print when I was just starting to do this
Is
stuff.
that the blue
Thank
one
you.
you're talking about?
Yeah, that's the blue one.
And the gold part, how did you achieve that?
So it's an early print, and I thought, oh, I want a gold moon. I don't know how to do that. Then I looked up what I'd have to do it at home and said, I'm not going to do that. And I contacted a great printer in West Haven that is literally 100 years old, Canelli Printers. And they printed the gold moon on the blue paper. And then I printed on top of that. Hi, Eileen. And I'll just talk about one other one. This one in back with you guys.
Jim?
All right.
The larger black and white drawing is my first lithograph, which I did in town.
That's great.
Studio. And which is an iPad software that works like live with those drawings and look at them and think of what I'm going to do to make them better. But it was on my bed when I woke up in the morning, and it was tilted at an angle, the sheet of paper. And I said, actually, that looks interesting. So I took a photo of it tilted on the bed. Up at the top of the picture, you can see some magazine titles running off the top of the picture. So then I brought it back into the iPad and drew on and had fun on top of that. And that's what made that one. So
That's fun. It's
so a number of these go through that kind of process. They kind of almost all of them touch the computer at some point. But just as a work, I guess I'm a snob. I believe in the old handmade processes, the sweat equity ones, you know. But I also will push a button and make a print also.
Who's Jim?
Jim is the guy that sort of founded, one of the founders of the CIA. So he's a CIA spook from the 40s, 50s, and 70s. And his name was James Jesus Angleton, because back in the 60s, everyone had three names, right? JFK, J. Edgar Hoover, it was all three names. And he was head of counterintelligence, which means he kept a lot of dirty secrets for this country. Well, thanks a lot. It's a protest print. They think he knows who killed Kennedy, but he's gone now.
What made you choose Boris Karloff as a subject?
Well,
Aside from the fact that he has more wrinkles than the Sahara Desert.
so there's like half older prints in this show and newer ones, but Boris and Julie Newmar over there, part of this practice I've been doing is I'm just, surfing away, but also looking at magazines and stuff. But images crawl through our space, right? And if something jumps out at me, then I play with it and see if I'm going to take it any further. and that was a natural, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
His bug eyes will follow you home.
No, I thought it was because you were having a show on Halloween.
Nope.
And you should tell people that one won a prize.
Yeah, that one did win a prize, and the little one over here, Reprehensible, won a prize. So I've been making prints for 15 years, and this year I finally won a prize or two. So that's all it does is take time, right? And in a minute, we're going to draw the winning lottery ticket. So Lori just got here. You should go fill out a lottery ticket. And Lonnie and Rick, you should each fill out a ticket so you have a chance at a free prize.
Did you do your t-shirt?
No, this is the Scary Panther. He was an underground cartoonist, or is an underground cartoonist. Yeah, he's fantastic. I realize we go great.
I'm like, you making t-shirts? Sign us up.
I'll try and get you the information. We love him.
So the winner of the lottery gets to pick their own print. Is that the plan?
Just to make it clear, when they're drawing the winner, that he's not going to draw the winner.
He will draw the
In
winner.
your case, I may draw the winner, of course.
Right.
You know, that is what we're doing. However, oh, and Eileen, fill out a lottery ticket, please. Be sure. I think everyone else has. Now, know that, let's get the disappointing part done with. A couple of these here are monoprints. I'm a printmaker. I'm used to, I have 20 of these things, and someone wants one, I was like, you got it. But the monoprints, I can't bring myself to part with, so I hope you don't pick those ones. And that's about it. There might be one or two that I have to redo, and you'd have to wait if you pick that one. But that's it. There's a couple of, and we'll find out when you go for it. Yeah.
What's your background that you ended up marrying digital processes with art? Were you trained as an artist and then you did stuff to make a living, or what was the chronology there?
So when I was a young man, you know, I started loving comic books at 5 years old, right? And this is in, 1960 or something. So that's comic book fandom was very new. That led to underground comics in my world, and so I started publishing and drawing those. And did a certain amount of that in the 70s and 80s. I sort of went in and out of it. And all that time, I worked in printing companies as a cameraman. So I had that visual skill. And then when printing went to computers, I happily did so too. In a month, I was programming that computer. And I said to myself, this desktop publishing, if I had that back in 1970, my magazine would have been beautiful. I would have been responsible for every part of it. So now I still put out zines, and that's what happens now. One of their aesthetics is they're always done from my home. They're produced at home.
Oh my God. Double whammy.
You're brand new, we're about to draw a lottery ticket, so you need to get yourself over to Stephanie at that table and fill out that ticket. And don't think we're leaving it on top to be drawn.
Those days are over.
Haywood, Ernst. Hey, man. Okay. Any other questions or comments or critiques, whatever you want to say?
Critiques, no?
Well, like I said, I mean, the concept is from the underground, whether it's prints or notes. So, there is a certain supernatural element of the day, right? And it's going to be dark starting next week. It'll be pitch dark by now.
It might even get cold.
Yeah.
So when you said you had a program and you wrote code for it, is it a software program?
Yeah.
What's it called?
Well, the languages in this case, the big psychedelic one there was in the Postgres programming language. And then these other two are in Java programming language.
What distinguishes between the process you're using and then an AI prompt?
Well, it's my stuff. When we do an AI prompt and it makes, when we say make a Magritte picture, and it looks at all the Magritte pictures and does that for you, right? But in this case, I'm thinking of what I want it to be and running it against my own stuff.
But I say that insofar as it seems you're very led by the process. You know.
That's wise.
Yeah.
And so in a sense, it's like you kind of think of it as almost like being on a skateboard as opposed to walking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You kind of go with the process or the medium or where that guides you. And so I'm curious about like different scales, you know, a scale that takes you from the immediately hand-hewn, you know,
Right.
to something where you are actually writing code.
Yeah, and it's all mixed up in this room too. Like the colorful silk screen back there, it was code driven, but then I made silk screen frames so that I could print it in 4 colors. So I like to put things through a mixer. I love silk screening, and some of these prints, like the wood cuts, I silk screen the image onto the large piece of wood first. That's how I get it there. You know?
I'm ready to translate a digital programmed algorithmic image into a silk screen if your silk screen is entirely manual, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and any silk screens here are photo silk screens, so that means that we need to get them onto the silk screen frame, and it's done with photo emulsion and a positive. So from the computer, I print a positive of whatever I want to make a silk screen frame out of. So the things go in and out of the 2 worlds pretty easily as far as that goes.
That's cool.
So do you choose the process to fit the image you have in your head? Or do you start with the image in your head and find?
Boy, that's a great
the
question.
That you don't know. That you just sit down and start thinking.
So there's a certain amount of it here, right, where, like I mentioned, where it's a practice where I see something I like and then I steal it, right, like Boris Karloff or Julie Newmar. So those kind of images are sort of frozen for me, right?
But you decided to do it as book.
Right, and that's part of it, right, is the selection process and then doing something to it to make
So
it
it required
personal.
a lot of creative interpretation. on
Exactly
your
right.
part.
That's right.
That's
That's right.
really
For me,
hands-on.
that has to be that. You know, I like all sorts of art forms, and I like that process where people really just steal the thing. You know, I understand that. That's cool. But I like to get my DNA mixed up in the thing. If anyone hasn't filled out a raffle ticket, you should fill out a raffle ticket, even if you just walk through the door. See Stephanie at the corner over there. Ernst,
Do you have a favorite dessert, and have you ever thought about making a silk screen of it?
what will Wayne T-Ball think
Good
about
question.
that? Wayne T-Ball owns all the cakes and candies, right? I never have thought about that, and I certainly do have a favorite dessert. So
Which
that's
is?
a great idea.
Which is what?
Which is what?
Divulge.
Pin me down with that? It's probably strawberry
Alan,
shortcake.
we talked about this, but this one looks interesting. It's
Uh-oh.
on the glass, right?
It's not on the glass. It's got collage elements to it. The woman's face is silk screened onto a piece of plastic. That's mylar that has sort of a frostiness to it.
Okay.
That's why we see the blue behind her, and it's a different shade of blue.
Got it.
And
then this you
so
just-
first there was the background image there, yellow and red and blue with the cloud. The cloud was made out of cotton. I just rolled some light blue ink on cotton. Print that. Then I smushed some gold leaf onto it, added the woman, and then added the stripe thing at the bottom. So that's one of the one-offs. That's actually the first time I made something that wasn't multiple.
It's not like reverse glass.
It's not.
No.
I see why you see it that way, though.
You have a really good taste in your framing and mounting.
Right.
Well,
Yes,
I'll make
it's
sure that
really
gets back to the.
thoughtfully done.
I agree. I was loving the gold with the gray.
Yeah, I have one friend from high school who was on Cape Cod and has run a framing company his whole life. So a lot of these frames are by him, and he is very thoughtful about the picture that he's framing. The reprehensible picture back there, he really went to town, and I could never afford that frame. It's this beautiful metallic frame. And he wrote me back saying, you know, this is the metal of his cells. We hope we get him in jail sometime, and I got a little red margin for the blood that's on his hands. And then some of these are framed locally at Ruins on Chapel Street in town. I think we might be ready for a raffle drawing. Does anyone need to fill out the raffle ticket? There's someone. All right. I guess we have to have time.
Okay, we're going to have our drawing of a raffle ticket.
Ready to film all that?
It's still running.
Oh my God.
We're rolling.
I want to Mark and Joan fill theirs out, and then we'll make sure to mix up the part a little bit. You know,
Who's going to...
they were here like sticky stuff.
Who? You're still collecting tickets? Okay. Okay, so I say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan, very much. Okay, Alan, a round of applause for Alan, please. He's getting standing on the corner of the room. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And don't forget, Manhara's after 6.